Hi, I'm Paul Giurata from Catalyst Resources. I want to spend a few minutes with you talking about how you can incorporate human-centered design activities throughout the life cycle of your software products. Any product that you're involved with has some sort of life cycle. Most organizations make three mistakes in terms of involving users throughout the life cycle of their software. First one is they typically don't involve users. They'll say, well, we'll have the product management people do it, or we'll talk to the field sales organization. They don't talk to real users. The second thing is if they do involve users, they do it only at a couple of points in time. They might do a focus group where people come into a room, eat M&Ms, and give them some feedback. They might do a usability test at the end of the cycle that doesn't allow them to make any changes. The third thing that happens, which is the biggest issue, is that without involving users systematically throughout the life cycle of your product, you will end up investing more in the product, delivering more functionality than what users need, and reducing your time to market. The idea is to have a human-centered design life cycle that maps across your entire life cycle. If you do that, you'll be able to get clear on exactly what you need to develop, you'll have less investment, and you'll get to market faster. Let's go through a couple examples. If you have an existing application and you want to evaluate it to go on to another release, obviously you've got user data. That's good. You want to get some feedback. However, user data will not shed any light on the scenarios that you see on the left-hand side. Using contextual inquiry lets you go out and spend time right in those settings, understanding what is it that they're doing on a trading floor, or who are the patients that are actually using and benefiting from your software. In the strategy phase for a piece of software, especially in a SaaS application where simplification is so critical, is to get very clear on exactly where 80% of the users spend 80% of their time. We refer to this as a tracer bullet path. Unequivocally, the only way you'll get clear on that is to involve users in this phase. When you move to the proof of concept phase, typically there are two things you're trying to address. One is it desirable? The second thing, is it technically feasible? You might use a focus group where you come in with two options or three options to get clear feedback. Much better to sit in a room and talk to people with things on paper as opposed to having the product already developed. The minimum viable product is your 1.0 release. It's particularly relevant in a SaaS application, and by definition, it's the smallest amount of functionality that will generate revenue. And I could tell you that is very elusive. If people make any mistake, it's that they have more functionality than what is necessary, which slows down your time to market and increases your investment. Involving users, which could be user validation groups where people do a 1-hour web meeting with you from anywhere in the world, is a very good way to get a clear understanding of what's the functionality that needs to be there in the product. In subsequent releases, you've got data, so you can do some quantitative analysis. The other thing you want to look for is spending time with users to get an understanding of what is their emotional engagement. Are they friend or foe when it comes to your software? It's the thing that Apple does so well, Microsoft not so much. In any piece of software, you've got ongoing production. In a SaaS solution, you've got production that occurs in some cases every 30 days. Production releases typically every quarter. What you ideally want is in the early stages, all the way back in the planning stages, you've defined places in your software where you capture certain metrics that will tell you what the users are really doing and where they are spending their time. You give users the ability to regularly provide feedback in your software. You've got user advisory groups to give you input. This will help guide and prioritize the functionality that you need to be addressing in your production releases. The bottom line is what you end up having is a set of human-centered design activities that span the entire life cycle. And again, if you do this, you'll reduce your investment. You'll get to market faster at these different phases. If you've got a new release that you're working on or a new application and you want to define the human-centered design lifecycle that will optimize the impact for your users and for your business, feel free to give us a call.